Our next speaker has achieved world renown as the second best Catholic host on the Daily Wire. Michael Knowles is a Daily Wire host, a commentator, a best-selling author. His best-selling book, by the way, is Blank. I've written 3 books with words, and this jerk outsold them all with a book of empty pages. And I'll never forgive him for that, ever. Michael Knowles is a Yale graduate, and when you listen to him speak, you can really tell. I mean that as a compliment and an insult, but through his extensive education, Michael has developed an uncanny ability to quote obscure 3rd century Catholic saints out of nowhere. So getting to know Michael over the years, I've gotten really good at pretending I know what the hell he's talking about. I will also tell you that I was sitting with Michael, in fact, in my office at Daily Wire headquarters yesterday, and I asked him what he planned to talk about tonight, and he looked me right in the eyes and said, "Matt, I have no clue." And then he begged me to switch places so he could be the MC. That's all very true. So hopefully you figured out a topic by now. Here's my good friend, Michael Knowles.
Thank you very much. Can you believe he would give away all my secrets like that? That's outrageous. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be back with all of you at Courage Under Fire, or as I like to call it, Kirk Cameron's Catholic Intervention. We have you surrounded, Kirk. Tonight is the night. No. There are obviously many Catholics here this evening, but there are many non-Catholics too. Protestants, Jews, Jesuits, plenty of people. No. That's a joke. We would never allow Jesuits here. That's a complete... In any case, one thing that does unite everyone in the room tonight is a shared concern for and vision of education. It is a vision that stands in stark contrast to the self-indulgent and subjective pseudo-education that our pop culture and political order try to force upon us. I know that precious few people in this room watch CNN. Good for you. But if you happened to tune in last week, you might have seen a University of Connecticut student proudly discussing her lawsuit against the Hartford School District, from which she recently graduated despite never having learned to read. The school should have taught this girl to read somewhere around the 2nd grade. Instead, administrators just shuffled her along for a full decade, all the way up through her senior year of high school, after which she received her diploma, I kid you not, with honors. Amazing. Now she attends a major public university, still can't read. This girl is an extreme example of what has become the new norm in education. Most American graduates today are not literally illiterate, but they might as well be. They're certainly culturally illiterate. They're rarely taught the great works by the great men which convey the great ideas that built our civilization. They are explicitly instructed to ignore God in their education, and often they are impelled to deny him outright. Thus cut off from the great intellectual tradition and its wellspring, even the modern graduates who learned how to read might as well not have for all the good it's done them. One cultural artifact that most modern high school graduates have never heard of is the bio tapestry. I mention this because the bio tapestry is what first came to mind when I heard the title of tonight's evening, Courage Under Fire. The tapestry depicts the Battle of Hastings in 1066. I'm really living up to my reputation that Walsh gave me. One scene in particular shows a man in a funny hat beating other men with a giant stick. The description reads, "Hic odo episcopus baculum tenens confortat puros," which, for those of you who did not attend Regina Coeli Academy, means in English, "Here Bishop Odo, holding a club, comforts the boys." Bishop Odo, being a bishop, did not carry a sword to kill the enemy. He carried a club to beat his own men if they tried to retreat from the battle. He carried a weapon to turn his boys back in the right direction, which is a kind of comfort. Because to comfort means to strengthen, and strengthening involves pain. That is true of strengthening oneself physically, I'm told. I think that's to Harrison, is that true? Is that what working out is that I've heard so much about? It's certainly true of strengthening oneself intellectually. It's painful to be disabused of a false notion. It's painful to see the sun after leaving a cave. And it is true of strengthening oneself spiritually. It is painful, at least at first, to confront one's own sin and then turn away from it and move in the opposite direction. That is what education is supposed to be. Painful, but edifying. A fire that is purgatorial rather than infernal. Education is not, contrary to popular belief, the mere cramming of facts into our heads. Nor is it, as others would have it, some navel-gazing study of the self. Nor still is it, as even many conservatives would have it, mere training to do some job. Education is supposed to strengthen the whole man, body, mind, and spirit, to cultivate the desire and habits necessary to cooperate with God's grace so that we can serve Him on earth and enjoy Him forever in heaven. That is what is meant by true education, and that has been true going all the way back to the Lyceum and beyond. But today, how many supposed institutions of higher learning do that? How many institutions of higher learning can even pretend to do that today? I can name one institution that does it, Regina Coeli, which seeks, per its mission statement, to train the mind to form the soul, which reminds us that the way in which we are educated will affect us long after we leave school. It will affect us after we have retired from our careers. It will affect us after we have breathed our last breath. Education forms the soul, which means that its consequences are eternal. Many modern people think of education as an either-or proposition. Either you have a degree or you don't. Whether you can read or not, you might have a degree or you might not. We sometimes think of heaven in much the same way. Either you're in or you're out. And while that has some truth to it, it misses a great deal of human potential, the potential that a proper education seeks to cultivate. I started with Bishop Odo, I will end with Dante, who illustrates this point well in his canticle on education. In Canto 3 of Paradise, Dante meets his friend Piccarda Donati in the heaven of the moon, which is the lowest sphere of heaven in Dante's vision. He asks her if she doesn't long to be in a higher place in heaven, a place closer to God. To which she replies, "Brother, the power of love appeases our will so, we only long for what we have. We do not thirst for greater blessedness." Every place in heaven, Dante learns, is in paradise, though grace does not reign equally from the high good. The souls in heaven are all fully blessed, but some have greater capacity than others. At a time when schools fail to teach students even to read, it is an inestimable blessing to have Regina Coeli, which not only points students in the right direction, but also expands their capacity in this life and in the life of the world to come. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to be with you. We'll see you next time.